Hey guys, welcome back to Supposedly Fun. I am Greg here today for a bit of a discussion video. Y'all did really great on the last one I did, which was inspired by a video or a comment in a video from Sean the Book Maniac where he talked about the 4 doors of reading and which of those matters the most to you. On that note, really quickly, a lot of people had some very intelligent things to say about setting and how it can matter in a book. Somebody pointed out that Bonfire of the Vanities really only works because it is set in New York, and the setting almost becomes another character at that point, which was really interesting. A lot of people commented about sci-fi fantasy and how world building really matters in those books, and that kind of got me thinking, say, Harry Potter. Imagine the Harry Potter without Hogwarts or Hogsmeade or the House on Privet Drive or any of those things, and you do kind of get a sense of how setting can matter. I still think that it is probably the least likely thing to matter in a book for me, but a lot of people really did bring justice for setting, and I feel kind of bad that I dismissed it almost outright. So thank y'all for that. And since y'all did so well on that, I wanted to talk to you about something that I saw on Instagram over the weekend, just because it kind of got me thinking. Now, I can't remember who posted it because I have a horrible memory, and they did it in Instagram stories, so it doesn't exist anymore and I can't find it. But basically the idea was somebody posted stories talking about how if you DNF a book, you should not rate it on Goodreads or write a review of it. And that kind of got me thinking. So I'm curious what you guys think about that. Do you think if you DNF a book, you should not rate it or review it? My traditional thinking has been a DNF is hopefully a valid experience. Like if you only get 5 or 10 pages in, you probably shouldn't rate it or review it. But if you've made an earnest effort to read the book and just didn't get into it, I feel like that's valid at a certain point. But I'm curious about what you guys think. And maybe I feel the way I do because I don't want to say strict guidelines for DNFing a book, but I have guidelines, and I feel maybe that makes me, maybe I'm just assuming that people kind of do the same thing I do, which is that if I don't make it a certain way into the book, I don't count it on the list of books that I read for the year, and I don't rate it or review it. It's almost as if it just didn't exist. I might comment on it to say, hey, I started this book, but didn't really finish it or get far into it. It's just a bail. So basically, my criteria changes for each book, but generally speaking, I want to get about a third of the way through or a quarter of the way through. So if it's about a 400-page book, I want to make an earnest effort to get about 100 pages in. If I meet that guideline, then I feel like I can talk about the book and my opinion of it. I can rate it, I can review it. But even then, and I talked about how I DNF books earlier. I will link that video down below. But even then, before I actually DNF the book, I will look at reviews, mostly on Goodreads, and try to get a sense if other people are having the same problems that I am. If they're not, I feel I will try to trudge along. If I'm still struggling, then I will jump ahead a little bit and kind of skim around, see if it seems like the thing that is bothering me is going to get better. This particularly is the case if, say, I find there's a character that is just really annoying me. I would kind of want to see, is it going to get better? Or if there's something about the structure that seems like it's not getting better, like, is it going to improve down the line? My last resort is that I will skip to the end and try to get a sense of what happens then to see if there's any kind of payoff down the line. I cannot think of a single example of a book where I have gotten to the point where I skipped to the end just to see what happens in the end, and I actually said, oh cool, there's something here that is worth sticking around for. Most of the time if I get to that point, it's going to be a bail. So, and I feel like I also disclose that it is a DNF, and maybe if I had finished it, I will have a full, I would have had a different experience. But yeah, I did meet this level of criteria that I have, so I'm willing to talk about it and discuss it. So to me, it feels like I'm being upfront about it. What's the problem if I rate it or review it? But as this person on Instagram pointed out, anybody who's interested in reading a book is most likely only going to look at the average rating for a book. They're not going to read the reviews, so they'll be missing the context of like, hey, I only got about a third of the way into this book. I bailed, here's why. So they're just going to see the rating. And this can be particularly damaging for debut authors or smaller authors, especially ones who do not have a large marketing machine for a publisher behind them. reviews really matter at that point, so that rating can hurt their chances of being seen or read by other people. And I thought that was interesting. It's not something I had really considered before, and I'm just generally interested in what you guys think. So essentially the questions are this: do you think a DNF is a valid experience of a book that is worth rating and reviewing? Do you think somebody should meet a certain threshold in order to be able to rate or review a book, or do you think somebody can only rate or review a book if they finish it in its entirety? What do you think? I really look forward to your responses and your thoughts. Like I said last time, there was a lot of really great feedback that made me think, and hopefully it was productive for you guys. So looking forward to your thoughts. And even if you're not interested in commenting, thank you for your time. I always appreciate that. And I will be back again. Until next time, happy reading.